This is Remote Ruby.
Have you any remote idea to the meaning of the word?
Yo.
Dang, my man's got some energy today.
I'm juicing again.
Oh, Lord. Is that a lemonade flavor monster?
Yes, tea and lemonade.
Yeah. You know how I knew that?
How?
It's the can was yellow.
Yeah.
It's either that
I bet you'll never guess what flavor the pink one is.
Pink lemonade.
Yeah.
Man, I am 2 for 2. It's going to be a good day. I was thinking, so we don't have Chris here today. What are all the takes that we have that Chris doesn't agree with that we could really drive home today?
Let me think. There hasn't been something that Chris has said in a while that I've vehemently disagreed with. You, on the other hand.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's air it.
I'm still thinking about STI. I'm over it.
So what do you disagree with Chris about?
I like Vimeo better.
Over Wistia?
I think he should stop uploading on YouTube.
I think he hosts his actual Go Rails on Wistia.
Oh, really?
Can you just,
We should all stop using Wistia.
Do people just browse Vimeo?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't realize that was a thing. I thought it was just a place you put a video on, then you link someone to.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I guess I don't know how the internet works.
Me neither. Well, I'm thinking, what do you disagree with Chris about? Oh, wait. I do know what I disagree with Chris about.
The way he says
I disagree.
Query?
What?
The way he says query?
Okay, well, that too. That every single time makes me laugh. Quarry. I'm like, I didn't know we were going to go mine rocks in the quarry. But yeah, so that's one. That's a big one. That's actually number one. Very much. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Your face every time he says query.
I'm really bad about hiding like my emotions. Yeah. Whenever he says query, I'm like, nah. So that's number one. Number two, I've never understood why he didn't like ViewComponent. And now that he's re-implemented his own version of it, I understand even less. I wish y'all could see Jason dying right now. It's okay, Jason, breathe.
Oh, I respect it.
I'm not saying I don't respect it.
He knows way more about render in than either of us now. But yeah, ViewComponent. I started another project and I'm playing that game where I'm trying not to add a bunch of gems. And I tried not adding ViewComponent. And then after an hour, I was like, what a terrible decision, and put it back in. So.
Yeah, I use it. But I mean, maybe that's just the way we think about building UIs differently because we build them from a more product focus.
Maybe.
We're on a bigger team where sharing resources makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. You know what needs to take off?
What?
Web components.
I think they did. We had an episode about this a while ago.
I don't know if they've taken off. I don't want to talk about front end today because that's like all I talk about right now because that's all that's ever on my mind. And we're not a front end podcast.
Even though I'm writing React these days. How do I pass a prop down 18 different levels? That's Andrew's current problem. Hey,
baby. One-way data flow.
How many times do I have to refresh this page for the data to actually refresh?
I hate the internet.
Me too.
I started using, I call it Spina. I don't know if it's Spina.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
CMS for Rails. It's really good.
It's really good.
I was impressed. I historically, I just talked about trying to avoid using gems. So I have historically avoided trying to use kind of bigger engines like that.
Yeah, me too.
But it's really good. I wrote the Jobboardly website in Next.js, and I've been very disappointed in that just because that's not what I do. I don't work in those JavaScript heavy environments often. So I thought I could do it in Bridgetown, but I have somebody working with me on some marketing stuff for Jobboardly, and I thought they're going to need to edit stuff. I could have hooked up Next.js with a headless CMS, or I could have done a WordPress site, but I love myself more than that.
Yeah.
And so this is where I'm at. I'm building a Rails, I guess you consider a Rails app, but it's mostly just a Spina site. And it's great. We'll link to it, but basically you run this installer and then you can define the different sections a page has. You can define some pages that are not deletable. So like a home page comes out of the box. It's really good. I enjoy it so far and I'm excited to use it more.
Yeah, you can use it with Bridgetown, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's how I first discovered it.
How would you do that?
They tell you how.
I'm not going to read. I'm asking you to tell me.
I haven't used it in a while because I haven't worked on my side project in a while, but their website is Bridgetown.
Are we talking about two different things?
Spinal CMS?
I'm not talking about Spinal.
You're talking about the other one. I think I knew which one you were talking about.
I'll put the link in.
Spinal.
Yeah,
you have saying Spinal though, right?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I have.
I don't know.
Who knows?
This is the one I thought you were talking about.
So Spinal would make more sense that it works with Bridgetown.
Yes. Yes.
It's like a static site CMS.
Yeah, it's a static site CMS. Okay.
Oh, this is cool.
When you were talking about Next.js, I was like, okay, now I'm on board. This is the one I thought you were talking about in the very beginning, Spina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Anyway.
you can even see, if you scroll down, we work with them a little bit. You can see Code Fund still on there as a list on a sponsor on Open Collective.
Open Collective triggered.
No, never mind. I shouldn't have said anything.
But it's cool. I enjoy Spina. I think that's Bram, who
Yeah.
works on that. Anyway, it's cool. They have a pro version. There's also, it's a different wheelhouse, but Maglev.
Never heard of that one.
Maglev. So it's a page builder for Rails. So think Podia site builder.
Yeah.
It's just like a Rails engine with similar functionality.
Similar functionality?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been working on our site builder.
I don't want to build another site builder nor even use another site builder ever again.
You don't want to build another one? I thought we were going to. No, I'm just kidding.
3.0, baby.
Yeah, we're going to build a whole new Podia. Podia 2.
P2. It's interesting, though, for people who need to spin up some type of page builder because it works in like sections and things like that. And that is not what I'm working on in my projects is full on page builders. I just need, well, there's other things I'm talking about the marketing site, but for like Jobboardly, I just use article.js, let you edit your content.
The site builder looks really familiar.
I mean, it looks right.
It looks so close.
Yeah, I saw it. I did a double take when I first saw it.
I was like, I should have double take too. I was like, wait. That's funny. Hey, great minds.
I don't know that there's a way to build a site builder that doesn't look the same.
That's true. They all do kind of look the same.
They all, unless you're doing like inline editing.
Right.
So that's a whole nother beast.
WordPress
those
on
are
Rails.
WPOR. Yeah,
Whopper.
I've been, what?
Whopper.
Oh, hell. People already stopped listening, so we can continue to just
Cool. Perfect.
talk about the government.
Okay.
Those are two tools that I haven't been working with Maglev. I just saw it, but Spina I've been working with. I've been enjoying. Let's see here. What else have I been toying around with? A lot of Tailwind. I don't want to talk about front end, but I've been using, there's a Figma component library called Untitled UI, and it's really good. I've had a copy for a while. I just started using it again, and I've been building blocks between view components, but also doing some like Tailwind config to make it match. And I forget how good Tailwind is at that. Not just the defaults it comes with, but letting you build your own kind of design system.
I will go back and just read through the docs of Tailwind occasionally.
So good.
They are really good. And I recently rediscovered because I always edit the theme. And recently I've gotten even bigger about like what should be contained. Because now that you have all these arbitrary variants and stuff, it's like, where does it make sense to set some of these configuration options? I could just set it on the body, or for your markdown pros components, you could just set all those classes in line versus making the change in the config. So I've been kind of like toying with where is it more maintainable.
Yeah, I've been starting using arbitrary values. I don't mind using them in components because you get a lot of reusability that way. In Untitled UI, there's some spacing that's 18 pixels, which there isn't a thing that maps to in Tailwind because it's right between 4 and 5 and P4, P5. So I've used that enough now that I added a like 4.5 and a 3.5 because I've been using them over and over again. But something else I liked as well is Untitled UI has like kind of base textiles which are mapped pretty well to the Tailwind ones, but they also have these display styles, which have different type of sizing and line height. And so I just added more textiles like display small, display medium, and then I can just use text display. It's so good. I love it so much. Yeah. The other thing, I add that to the config and it immediately shows up in the IntelliSense for Tailwind. Like it's so quick. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, it's very good. The IntelliSense alone is good.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Are we done?
And that's it.
That's it. I've been like in a whole different planet the past few weeks. I don't even know what's going on. I've been writing React.
Yeah. So is that why you've been in a whole new planet?
No, that's not why, but that's what I've been doing. I did make a mistake. Actually, this is a good one. You know how difficult it can be to arbitrarily flip on. Imagine this. I had to do this today or yesterday where we needed to run a data migration to change a column value from an old value to a new value based on some calculation we ran. But there were validations on that column that it had to be within a certain range. And we needed, the update we were making was changing it to be outside of that range. So we added a new validation and added conditions on it to say, if the feature flag is enabled, use this validation, otherwise use this validation. But then I ran into this issue where I realized that while we were migrating the data over, it was not going to fall into the right validation. And so we had to have this discussion about when to turn on the feature flag and how to run this data migration, because I knew it was going to take a little bit of time, but my calculation was wrong. It actually took an hour. So for like an hour, I was standing there looking at it, trying to make sure that any errors that came in validation wise related to this, we would catch. None did, actually. I can't believe that. But we did wind up in this interesting situation of migrating data when you have like validations on those columns and changing it to something outside of the original validation level.
So you did do some Ruby.
I did do some Ruby.
Your favorite type, migrations.
Yeah, migrations. I don't mind migrations. I think they're like, it's kind of like a puzzle.
Did you do it as a maintenance task?
I did.
So we may have talked about it before. We use maintenance tasks at Podia. Maintenance tasks come out of Shopify, and essentially they just give you a way to define like kind of long running processes. They're powered by background jobs, and it's pretty cool because like they run in kind of like in batches. You define a collection of things that need a task run on them. And for us, that's a lot of times data migrations. And it keeps this like state of like, when you run it, it'll run in number of iterations, free up, do another job, run more. It's a really solid library. We use it for data migrations a lot. We use it for type of maintenance task.
Yeah. I came from a world where everything like this was done in a rake task, and it is infinitely better. You didn't mention that you can pause the task while it's running, and if it fails, it can restart where it left off, and you can see like how far it got into it.
It's really good. We've done this a handful of times. It's not a common thing, but you can give it a CSV to work with.
Right.
You can define variables. So part of the way Andrea actually set this up, but part of the way we add new features to like plans and stuff at Podia is through a maintenance task, because they're database backed. So we can tell it like what plans it needs to go to and what the values, if there's any limits, things like that. It's so good. So if you haven't used that before, you should check it out.
If you're doing data migrations and rake tasks, stop, drop, and roll over to this gem.
Dang.
I hit him with it.
Yeah. Or if you're doing data migrations in database migration files.
Yeah.
Definitely. You have to be careful. Well, actually, okay. You have to be careful when you have some type of default scope.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. You have to be careful.
I've ran that twice this week.
Yeah. You go to run it in production and it doesn't like that. Part of the way, I guess, it calculates how to stop and pick back up and stuff is by not having some type of default scoping on it.
Well, yeah, it's like a distinct and joins issue.
And ordering.
Yeah.
So what we do is we call unscoped on it. But the takeaway here is just don't use default scopes.
Yes, I firmly agree with that. I curse them whenever I run into that issue.
Yeah, they seem like such a great idea when you add them. And then 2 weeks later, we have one.
I have never added one.
I don't think I've added one in several years. It used to be a default. I used to be okay with them, but they cause problems, especially when they're like reversed ordered by default. And so you say like record dot first, and you're like,
Dude,
wait a second.
that is so annoying.
I expected like something with an ID of like single digits, and this is like in the hundreds of thousands. What is this?
Yeah, well, that's the annoying part for me is I do dot last a lot all the time.
Oh yeah, and you end up
and
with
then it gives you the first record, and I'm like, I don't want this.
Yeah, I wish by default you couldn't set a default scope.
True that. Default scopes are bad. Always. I'm saying it right now.
What else is interesting? Jamie, our fearless leader, we also call him, some of us call him Dad at Podia, wrote this gem. Is it public?
I've yet to look at this gem, really.
Okay. So as Podia has grown, we have this problem where counting things becomes a much more involved process. Mm-hmm. And you might think, well, just use counter cache, and you would be correct, except that as the company continues to grow even more, the things we need to count aren't as simple as like, I need to know how many of X association this one thing has. I need to know how many of X association with this set of requirements it has. And I might need 4 different variants of those requirements. And so it's a problem we've had for a while, especially like on our dashboards and stuff. We sum up numbers, like we do a lot of counting. And as it would turn out, that is inefficient sometimes. And so Jamie has been working on this for a while. Andrew just drops a link, so it'll be in the show notes. But
it says, hold on. It says under usage, you probably shouldn't use it right now unless you're the sort of person that checks if something is poisonous by licking it, or you're working at Podia where we are testing it in production. Thanks, Dad. Oh, I feel like I just got called out.
Let's see if it's on the old Ruby gems. It looks like it is called Counterwise on there.
Yep. In the repo's public.
Yeah, repo's public. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So basically, the way Jamie set it up is really cool. So at the core, there's a database table, counter values, and has a polymorphic relationship. Much like if you've used active storage or action text, you don't have to run a database migration for every single type of attribute you want to track. So like if I add it has one image, has one file, I don't have to add some type of table for each one of those. So there's a polymorphic relationship, and you define, okay.
Polymorphism.
There it is. There it is. No STI. So 1-0 today.
We're good.
So there is declare something as countable. So you say, I don't know, I want to see how many emails this user has received. So you would say a user has a counter of received emails, and then it will keep track of that in a database column on a record called counter value. So then you don't have to do that math. It's just behind the scenes, always keeping track of those values. And it's got hooks in it. So you can define custom counters and say, when it's created, only if a record is created, only update the value if it meets this condition. Only every time you update it, increment or decrement based on this condition.
Right.
It's really good. I mean, it's still early stages, but I've had to interact with it a couple of times, and it's a really good solution to a really shitty problem.
So he made Excel in Rails.
Yeah. And it's really excelled in our code base.
I just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Honey Badger. Monitoring like web development can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and your customers are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why they built Honey Badger, the monitoring tool we've always wanted. A tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so you can keep shipping. Know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected, respond instantly when your systems go down, improve the health of your systems over time, and fix problems before your customers can report them. I know from personal experience, I've fixed bugs when they've shown up in Honey Badger and then emailed the customer to let them know, hey, I think I saw you get a 500 error. I fixed it, and I just wanted to let you know you can try again. And it blows those customers' minds to see that they didn't even have a chance to report the bug to you. It's wild. They love it. Honeybadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. It's free for small teams and setup takes as little as 5 minutes. Once again, that's honeybadger.io.
I don't even, where are we even using this?
We're using it for knowing the number of subscribers.
There you go.
So, because that
I can think of reasons I would have used this in the past too.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's very good. And it's cool because it's so easy to add one.
That Jamie, he's a real genius, isn't he?
He is.
The
other thing, or maybe the counter thing I forgot to mention, was that you need to, for anything that should trigger a change, you include a module counter changeable. And so, like, for the example of a user, you want to know how many emails they've received. That email message needs to basically broadcast. So that is the counter changeable. And that's what then the things that implement the counter listen to. It's cool. There's a link to if you want to check it out. Shout out, Dad.
Shout out, Dad. He's always watching over us.
With disgust.
Yeah, making sure I wear a seatbelt.
Shame. Yeah. I don't know if we were talking about it on here. Was it Rails Conf?
Yeah, it was. This last one.
Riding in an Uber where Andrew told our boss that he doesn't wear a seatbelt.
You're missing the context of what was happening in this Uber car.
Nope.
We were in the back seat, all three of us, of this Uber car, and I was sitting in the middle, and there was no seatbelt. And I had made the comment, because of the way the driver was driving, I made the comment that if they slammed on the brakes, that it would be time to hire a new developer. And then I said something to the effect of like, well, I don't really wear a seatbelt anyway. And ever since, Jamie's been quite perturbed about that.
I don't know if the context actually changed that much. The story still ended with you saying you don't wear a seatbelt.
Okay, but I do. It depends on how I feel that day. Sometimes I forget to put the seatbelt on.
Fair.
Whenever I see a cop, I remember.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Bet you do.
I remember real quick.
And I think that's everything I have to talk about. Have I done anything else interesting? Never. Oh,
what?
I did have something. So I am trying to improve some email performance. So I guess email delivery performance. And to do that with certain notifications, we share them between like a person who sells on our platform and their customer will like share the same email, but based on who receives it, they should get a different link.
Right.
And so I've been trying to use email substitution for that this week.
Email substitution.
Data substitution. So we have stuff where you can replace first name, full name, stuff like that. So I'm trying to leverage that for the links. And I've been blaming Action Mailer for my woes this week, and I was wrong.
Going through the 6 with my woes.
Go with that.
Why did Action Mailer hurt you? Why did you victimize Action Mailer?
So I was trying to set, actually all that needed to change was the host. So I set this, it's like the mustache syntax, right? And so I would set that in as like the host and URL to, or link to with a URL route helper, and wouldn't get picked up by the substitution because it was being escaped. And I thought, well, that sounds like a good feature, right? And so I got Action Mailer's doing that. So I got deep into Action Mailer, couldn't find anything, got knee deep in the mail gym, and then realized it's pre-mailer. So I spent several days trying to figure this out. Pre-mailer does it, and I can't tell if it's pre-mailer or pre-mailer Rails, but I had to effectively tell it in the mailer to skip pre-mailer. But if you've called mail already, take that message, run it through pre-mailer. I had to G-sub.
God.
It's awful. It's so bad, but I could not get it to stop escaping it. And I was prying into like the gyms locally and like walking through step by step. And I could never pinpoint where it actually gets encoded. Action Mailer, I'm sorry. Mail Gym, I'm sorry.
So you victimized 2 gems
for nothing
and couldn't defeat the final boss.
Couldn't defeat the final boss. No.
You had to resort to regex.
Apparently this is a problem for other people. And so I found someone who's like, oh, I've opened a PR to allow handlebar templating for pre-mailer, except it was for the pre-mailer Rust library. So
Nice. You didn't want to convert Rust to Ruby?
No, I did not. I'd rather use my crap ass regex.
Yeah.
There's a param, like a config option for pre-mailer that's don't escape URLs, but that didn't work for me. So
Yeah. I mean, what does pre-mailer do? I mean,
okay. So I don't know if you know.
I have an idea of what it does.
At Podia, we send emails. And okay, then you're halfway there. So what pre-mailer will do will allow us to write styles, and then it will convert styles into inline styles.
Okay.
It will also generate text parts out of HTML emails for us. It's a great gem. We used to use Roadie to do this for a long time.
I've used Roadie.
I want to say Roadie is not being maintained anymore. So pre-mailer seems, I could be wrong, but doing my research with Mario, it seems like pre-mailer is the one a lot of people agree on using now. So
I mean,
obviously they use
actively
it.
Updated.
Roadie has.
I guess that I'm pre-mailer. Well, that I'm looking at pre-mailer. Yeah, this is just pre-mailer, not pre-mailer Rails.
I'm pretty sure pre-mailer is actually like written in Ruby too, and other languages port it. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Roadie was updated 5 days ago, release 5.2.
Oh, I've slandered another gem.
This gem is now in passive maintenance mode.
Okay, so I only have slandered it.
Yes, another victim.
Victim.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That sounds awful.
Pretty dope.
Pretty dope. Like the URL obfuscation, I've run into some issues with that recently as well. And I recently ran into the issue of like, I forgot what was valid to be in a URL and what wasn't. And I'm like, which one am I supposed to replace with %20 or whatever? That's the space, by the way.
Unfortunately, I know that.
Good. Well, slaps knee. I don't get anything.
All right. We'll keep it short and sweet today. And
that's how I like it.
What's
your favorite ice cream?
Vanilla.
What?
Yeah, I love vanilla.
Just vanilla? Okay, but what's your non-base flavor?
Vanilla.
Like you don't like Chunky Monkey or cookies and cream?
I like the Americone Dream from Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah. Never heard of that one. Is it like a red, white, and blue fire rocket popsicle?
It's Stephen Colbert's flavor.
Okay.
The Tonight Dough. I like that one.
I like cookie dough in my ice cream.
I like those all right. But like we went to Ben & Jerry's, actually went into one 2 weeks ago. I just got vanilla. I love vanilla so much. Vanilla shakes, vanilla malts, vanilla ice cream.
Gotcha.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I like Butterfinger, Reese's.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cookie dough, chocolate, fudge blast.
So extra.
I think vanilla is my favorite base flavor, or it used to be. I don't know. These days, I kind of like to mix them up. Kind of like vanilla and chocolate. My
favorite thing in the world is to combine vanilla and chocolate, but it's a certain ratio. And vanilla
is a certain ratio.
The dominant.
No, I agree.
Ratio.
More vanilla.
Like we'll do brownies and ice cream. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take like a quarter of a brownie and like 3 scoops of ice cream.
Yeah. Oh, brownies and ice cream sound good.
Yeah. We've been buying the Costco mix brownies. It'll last you like forever. Do you want to take a bet if Chris listens to this episode?
Why would he? Okay. Well, I mean, what side are we betting on? I bet he doesn't.
I bet he doesn't too. But I'm curious if because we talk about it, someone will tell him that we bet on it and then he listens to it. Well, then we're going to have like a phrase that he's going to have to tell us or something so that we know. Chris, if you hear this episode, say, I actually like ViewComponents and I'm wrong for re-implementing them. All right. See ya. Bye.